Hey, this is Alex Power with My Creative Cinema, and in today's tutorial we're gonna talk DSLR versus mirrorless cameras. Which one is right for you and which one to buy. Stay with me, we'll be right back in just a moment. DSLR stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex. What it means that inside the body of the camera there is a lens there that is covering the sensor, and in order to open the sensor for you to take a picture or to shoot a video, you need to click the button and then it will open the lens and then it will take the picture. That's the mechanism that has been there for a while, and it's been working for many professionals pretty well. But then mirrorless cameras came along and it just changed everything. But some people are still sticking with DSLRs and some people are having a mirrorless cameras instead. So let's just take a look at the major differences that these two systems have, and you will decide for yourself which one is good for you. So the first major difference that you will notice right away between DSLR camera and mirrorless camera, that the size of the DSLR cameras are generally larger than size of the mirrorless cameras. On the first place, that's why lots of people were buying these cameras in order to get compact, good camera for traveling, and not to bring a bulky, huge camera when on the road. Nowadays, if you look at some mirrorless cameras, they're quite large too. If you buy a full-frame mirrorless camera like Sony A7S II, it seems to be, it's smaller than 5D Mark III, but it's definitely not the tiniest one because of the larger frame sensor, and then because of the many other features that built in the camera. So it's not completely true right now, because mirrorless cameras, since they first released, they've changed. The second difference you will notice between the DSLR and mirrorless cameras, there is more controls, more toggles, more switches on the DSLR cameras, and there is less on the mirrorless cameras, because most of the controls are inside the camera on the touch screen for the mirrorless cameras. And most of the mirrorless cameras have touch screen, but not all of the DSLR cameras have a touch screen yet. But the newer models, yes, but some maybe 2-year, 3-year-old models, they don't have this. They don't have a touch screen. So that's another thing. The third major difference between the DSLR and mirrorless cameras will be variety of lenses. Canon DSLRs and Nikon DSLRs and other DSLR cameras, they simply have more variety of different lenses that you can use. More prime lenses, more telezoom lenses. When you look at the mirrorless cameras, they have limited amount of different lenses that you can attach, the native lenses I'm talking. And I guess that's the best way to use your native lenses on a camera for better results. That's my opinion. And definitely you can attach your lenses from your DSLR to the mirrorless camera, but that would make your small mirrorless camera much larger, and it's not going to be easy to travel with anymore or easy to use on the go. So that's the thing you might want to consider when buying mirrorless cameras. Not as many lenses available on the market for some. So the difference number 4 will be a battery life. DSLR cameras seems to be holding a better battery life than a mirrorless cameras, because simply they have a larger batteries and more juice kind of makes sense. And mirrorless cameras, they have smaller batteries and there's less juice inside. But that's not true for all the DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. For example, I have a Panasonic GH4 and they absolutely nailed this time for the batteries. It's incredibly long-lasting batteries for Panasonic. Maybe not gonna be true for Sony or other brands, but I'm telling from my experience, it is not true for everything. So you need to look at the certain camera you're buying and compare with other alternatives that you have out there and see the pros and cons and decide for yourself which one you want to go with. From what I heard, the Sony batteries have really short life of the charge, and they're not seems to be lasting. Can be a deal breaker for some people because they need this battery life for a long time. The number 5 difference will be a viewfinder. Mirrorless cameras, they have electronic viewfinder. I absolutely love that. When you look at your viewfinder, that's the way it's going to be exposed. That's the way it's going to be when you're changing the settings. That's the way it's going to be actually on a picture. And I really like that feature. And well, DSLR cameras, you see this through the mirror. It reflects from the lens, goes to the mirror, and goes to the viewfinder. And that's what you see in your viewfinder. So when you change settings there, you wouldn't see the changes with your eye. So take this into consideration. The viewfinder, it's much better on mirrorless camera. Electronic viewfinder, that's the way to go. Difference number 6 will be a size of the sensors. First, when the mirrorless cameras came on the market, it was only a smaller sensors like 1/4 thirds or crop sensor, but now mirrorless cameras made with larger sensors like a full frame sensors. So definitely both systems, DSLR and the mirrorless cameras, they have different size of sensors. You need to check different specs for a particular camera when you buy what kind of sensor it has, and it is very important, I can tell you, because larger the sensors, more light gets in, and that's generally better for you for the image quality. So normally, bigger the sensor, you get better image quality. Let's talk about autofocus for video. It seems to be during the low light, for some DSLRs, autofocus not working that good. So you cannot rely on that, because if it's a smaller sensor in the low light situation, it's not going to handle it well. And other than that, mirrorless camera better in autofocus, generally speaking. Except for some cameras that recently came, like 70D, 80D, they have really good autofocus system, and 5D Mark IV has the same autofocus system with a new type of technology they utilized. So again, some cameras are better, some cameras are not, so it's not true about everything. So some people say, okay, mirrorless cameras, it's better for autofocus. That's not completely true, because some cameras in DSLR side, they have good autofocus system. So you need to check again with certain camera you trying to purchase, how that works, and see different, specs of that and compare for yourself. Difference number 7 will be a stabilization. Lots of mirrorless cameras have in-body stabilization, which is not true about DSLR cameras. None of them have that feature, which can be really valuable for some situations when you have non-stabilized lens and you want to stabilize your footage, and it will stabilize inside the camera. And for DSLR, of course, it's only lens stabilizer. So that's a downside. Some of the newer mirrorless cameras can even combine these two stabilizations, the in-body stabilization and lens stabilization, and that will bring you best of the both worlds. So you need to check the newer ones and compare and see. If image stabilization is something you're looking for, definitely the mirrorless cameras, they have more options for that. Lots of DSLRs, they have a Wi-Fi connection, Wi-Fi option, and some of the mirrorless cameras, most of the mirrorless cameras, they have the Wi-Fi option. I'm not a big fan of using that, but if you're a person who would like to show you pictures right away after taking, then maybe you should look into mirrorless cameras. That would be better for you, since the DSLR, it's sometimes lacking this technology at all, or sometimes it's just not going to be as perfect as in the mirrorless cameras. It was a point when the mirrorless cameras were cheaper than the DSLR cameras, but then they got more technology, they got more advanced stuff, and pretty much I can say right now the price is about the same for professional DSLR cameras or professional mirrorless cameras. If you're shopping for a crop sensor, again, there's different models, there's different types of cameras, and you can certainly find cameras in any price range nowadays. Before buying any camera, check out the specs, check out the capabilities, and ask yourself, what do you need the camera for? Whether you need this for family pictures, or you need this for some home video you make, or you need this for professional use. Try to figure out what do you need this for, and based on that, based on other people's reviews for these cameras, make your decision. That would be a best way of buying a camera. Please let me know in the comments below which camera do you like better, DSLR or mirrorless, and support the channel, like, subscribe if you like the content. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.